Hey everybody, John here with the Yoga Concepts. So this is the final installment of our series on the blueprint of sequencing. This is step 7. And what we're doing in step 7 is preparing our bodies, or preparing our students' bodies, if you're a teacher, for Savasana. So as far as the lines of the body, myofascial lines go, we are relaxing all the lines. The real focus in step 7 is that in step 6, in the previous step, which you all saw last video, is that the back bending, the working into the deep front line of the body, creates a shortening of the superficial front line, right? Or also known as the posterior chain of the body. So what we're doing in step 7, a lot of the work we're doing here is to lengthen that area of the body. So you'll see poses like pigeon, which gets into the hips and the hip rotators. You'll see poses like stretching pose and variations of stretching pose. Poses like any twisting with a seated twist or reclined twist. Different hip openers are always wonderful in this step of the class, and then some finishing poses into Savasana. So I'll give a little demo of that, talk you through it, and then we'll kind of see the progression of it. Again, it's simple to complex, and so my focus is opening up the body in a simple to complex way. And so if I were to do more intense, some deeper openings of any portion of the superficial back line of the body, I'll want to do simple ones first, into bigger ones after that. So we, a lot of times we'll start off with a pigeon, one-legged pigeon, so the pigeon right, pigeon left, so right foot. If you're coming right off of your back bending and you want to come into Raja Kapotasana, you could actually incorporate Raja Kapotasana into your step 6 a little bit, but if your focus is maybe a shorter class, or I've done my back bending already, I'm ready for step 7, you would come into Savasana and just take a rest. So that's right side, and then left side. If, of course, that's intense for whatever reason, you could take your students to their backs and do a reclined version of that pose. I'll just give you a visual of what I'm talking about. All right, so this reclined pigeon. And so once you've done right side, left side, there's a possibility of coming to your seat at that point. So that could look either a very simple jump through. So a lot of your students at this point of their class are tired, and so their jump through may be as simple as dropping the knees and spinning the legs around. Right. If you have students that want to jump through and make it more fancy, they can do that. So a stretching pose experience, that may be started off with a bound angle pose, which gets portions of the superficial back line and portions of the inner thigh work, which would be the deep front line. And then stretching pose. And stretching pose, of course, the grip can be deeper and deeper as far as your students and their flexibility and how much they need to open. So stretching pose, and then coming on to the back and working into recline twisting, right side, recline twisting, left side. And then possibly some hip openings here, happy baby, recline bound angle, and any variations of hip openers. And then some of the finishing, we engage the thighs, spin the thighs in towards each other. So the inner spiral of the legs, which is kind of nice at the very end of the end before Savasana, because it gets a little bit more space in the low back and the sacrum. And so inner spiral, holding for a breath or two, and then releasing. Coming into Savasana. Eyes closed. And you can cue the body in the beginning if you're teaching, or do this on your own. So bring the shoulder blades a little closer, so you're lying flat on the shoulder blades. You'll feel opening of the chest. Toes fall open. Palms can face up. Arms can spread out as wide as you have the space. And we close our eyes. And then in Savasana, as we close our eyes, the next work, so Savasana is a pose, of course, and the work that we're doing in Savasana is some of the most important work in our yoga asana classes. It is if you're a teacher, it gives you're teaching your students that there is actually space between awareness and the chatter of the mind, or Patanjali calls consciousness. So in order to achieve that, we need to give our students an anchor. So where do you want them to focus with their awareness? And one of the most common anchors is the breath. So it's a great anchor. So we bring our attention to our breath, or we get our students to bring their attention to their breath. They hold their attention to the breath. And the breath, of course, is always present. It's always renewing itself in the moment. And so that gives them that anchor to the present moment. But of course, with a little bit of time, depending on how long someone's attention span is, which is in the most recent studies has been shown to be 8 seconds long for people. So in a very short time, their mind is going to be off to the races again. So we let them know that that's going to happen, or if we're teaching, or know that that's going to happen if you're practicing. So you're bringing your attention to your breath, and after a few moments, the mind will shift off, your attention will drift off into mind chatter. So you'll be thinking about something, and that thought will turn into a tangent, into a tangent, into a tangent, and you'll off to the races in your mind about whatever you're thinking about. If we can catch ourselves, bring ourselves back, it's a little victory. Or if you're a teacher, tell your class, where's your mind now? Where's your attention now? Is it off in thought? If it is, bring it back to your breath. Every time we catch ourselves, it's a training of the mind, it's training of the will, training of attention. It's like putting a weight in your hand and doing this, right? If I do that enough, this muscle is going to get bigger. If I catch myself in thought enough, this muscle is going to get bigger. My attention is going to be stronger. My awareness is going to be more refined. I'll have the ability to pull myself back and actually keep myself in the present moment as long as I choose to, when I choose to. And this is really the key. So in Savasana, it's the ability to feel the difference between pure awareness and the chattering mind, and know that there is a difference. And that's one of the keys to Savasana. And of course, there's deeper expressions, and then you can get into meditation from there. But hopefully that helps. I hope all of these videos are helpful in your life and for your practice and for your students if you're a teacher. Keep watching, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody. Namaste.